Hail the leader, hail the church. John 8:12. Then spake Jesus again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. Hail the leader, hail the church. The church is the reflection of the leader. The church is the mirror of the leader. And the aspect of the leader the church reflects is not the conscious aspect, it's the subconscious aspect. The conscious one is the one you pretend to be. The subconscious one is the one you actually are. Jesus says, I am the light of the world. He didn't say, I have the light of the world. People don't follow what you have, they follow who you are. People don't follow what you say, they follow who you are. Matthew chapter 15 verse 14 says, if a blind leader leads the blind, all of them will fall into the ditch. Let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch. So if it is falling, it means it is being led by the blind. Your vision as a pastor engineers the direction of the ministry. If they are going nowhere, chances are they are seeing nowhere. It is what we show them that they see. And how can you show if you yourself can't see? And it is what you see that you show. 1 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 19, it says, be ye followers of me. 1 Corinthians 11 verse 1, it says, be ye followers of me. Philippians chapter 3 verse 17, be ye followers together of me. 1 Thessalonians 1:6, and ye became followers of us. Matthew 4:19, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. Follow me and I will make you fishers of men. Joshua chapter 1 verse 2 and verse 9. Let me show you something quickly. Moses, my servant, is dead. Now, therefore, arise, go over this Jordan. And if you must go over, you and all these people. So if the leader has not crossed Jordan, the people cannot cross Jordan. Moses, my servant, is dead. Now, therefore, arise, go over this Jordan, you and all these people. If they are not crossing, ask yourself, have I crossed? If they are not moving, ask yourself, am I moving? Because the outcome of the people is the outlook of the leader. The outcome of the people is the outlook of the leader. Make no mistake about this. Hail the leader, hail the church. In Luke chapter 4 verse 16, let's get to the brass tacks now and go deeper. Luke 4:16. And he came to Nazareth where he had been brought up, speaking about Jesus. And as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up for to read. He came to Nazareth where he had been brought up, and as his custom was, every leader must have a custom. Every leader must have a culture. And the custom and the culture of the leader becomes the culture of the ministry. So even Jesus had a culture. He had a culture. He had a custom. He had a way of life. So the way of life, or the culture, or the tradition that the leader permits becomes the culture of the congregation. Let me give you a typical example, then we go very deep. All of you who are here, I'm sure all of you are fathers and mothers of your homes, basically. Let's start with the home. In a typical African home, there is a specific chair the father of the house sits on, true or false. So when guests come in and the guests enter and sit on Baba's chair, they say, no, sir, this is the chair our daddy sits on, please, and you can sit elsewhere. There's a culture of that in the house. There is a specific plate that mommy will use to serve daddy. He has his own cup. He has everything that is specially, is a culture of the family. Then again, there is also a particular time of the day that everybody must wake up. There is also a time of the day that everybody must go to bed. All of those culture is what the father of the house institutes in the house. So it becomes part of the family culture. So when the child acts in a certain kind of way, the father will call him and say, look, our people don't behave like this. Our people don't talk like this. That is why when children begin to mess up, it's always very quick for the mother to say your father is coming. Because your father is coming does not mean father is coming to shout. Father is coming to show you what our culture is. So the pastor is the institutor of the culture of the church. If the pastor is healthy and his culture is healthy, it's very easy. Ask people who at some point began to smoke. They will tell you they saw their father smoke. True. They saw it. Either he comes to the house and he's not cultured enough. He has friends that smoke. So they will give you Rotmas or St. Maurice or Benson. They say, go to the kitchen and light. You can't light a cigar without pulling small. It won't catch the fire. So from that moment, something entered you that later manifested in the adulthood. You grew up in a house where your father talks to your mother anyhow. When you become a married man, you will do the same thing. Because it's a culture. Am I making sense to anybody here? So in like manner, what we see in the church is the culture as instituted or as permitted by the pastor. As instituted or as permitted by the pastor. So let's look very quickly. What are some of the cultures of a healthy pastor that makes for a healthy church? Very quickly. What are the cultures of a healthy pastor that makes for a healthy church? The first culture is the culture of service. The culture of service. Judges chapter 7, verse 16, 17, and 18. Judges chapter 7, verse 16, 17, and 18. Let's have it on the screen very quickly. And he, speaking about Gideon, and he divided the 300 into 3 companies. And he put a trumpet in every man's hands with empty pitchers and lamps and with pitchers. And he said unto them, look on me and do likewise. Behold, when I am come to the outside of the camp, it shall be that as I do, so shall ye do. Next verse. As I do, so shall ye do. When I blow with a trumpet, I and all that are with me. Then blow ye the trumpets. Say on every side of all the camp, and say, the sword of the Lord and of Gideon. Don't tell them to come for evangelism if you will not come. Don't tell them to come early to church if you will come late. Yes, you are the biggest name in the church, but you are not bigger than God. The protocol of service permits that a pastor should be in church before church starts. Even if you are not in the hall, just be in church. Your car should be parked if you have a car. And you don't have a car at all, anyhow you came, come in and enter the office and do some work. It is not out of place to even enter and see if the work is properly arranged. For some of us who are senior pastors, and I see that happen a lot of times, just put your hands in your pocket and walk in after praise and worship. The MD pastor has landed. Small children have finished praise and worship. So it's time for His Imperial Majesty, the Emperor, to show up. And you forgot, sir, that even praise and worship, the praise that leaves the church, God does not see it from the mouth of the praise leader. He sees it from the heart of the pastor. Praise and worship is going on. Pastor, you put his hand. He's not holy. He's arrogant. He's not meditating. He's proud. You say, oh, our pastor, a gentleman, you know they dance. Even if you don't know how to dance, shake your head. Am I talking here? You don't know, you don't have a head, shake your leg. Shake something. Let everybody be aware that you know that this God is the reason why we are here. Let's celebrate grace. Mama is here. Celebrate grace. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So we cannot preach early attendance if we ourselves are reckless with that. We cannot. There is nothing wrong with starting extremely early, preparing even days before time. It's not Sunday morning we look for what to wear. Am I talking here? It's not Sunday morning. So, okay, that suit. And NEPA has taken light and generator can't power the iron. What do we do now? And you are scampering up and down. Then you are coming late as a pastor. It does the optics are not correct. It's a wrong culture. It's not correct. Or even if it's a counseling day or a midweek service day or an office day and you have appointment and people are waiting 2-3 hours. You show up later, say sorry, I was doing something at home, sorry. And it's part of your life, sir. It will translate into church attendance later. It will become a culture of lateness. You can't correct it by rebuking. You will correct it by making changes by yourself. Make adjustments. So Gideon said, as I do likewise. Can I tell you how you know a healthy ministry? It's when we are proud enough to tell our members, imitate me. You didn't hear me? When we are bold enough to tell our members, imitate me. It's not what we are saying. It's who we are. Jesus didn't say, I have the light. He says, I am the light. If you have the light, they can take it away from your hands. But if you are the light, they can't quench it because the whole of you is the light. So I am here to light you. The church remains in darkness until the leader is lighted. So if there is going to be general illumination around, sir, the illumination of the ministry is illuminated by the pastor himself. So you are the illuminator. As I do likewise. The culture of service is very important. Culture of service. And sometimes I found out that there are certain kinds of services that we see in church. One of it is called eye service. Can I be honest with you? We who are pastors, we make eye service thrive. We make it thrive. We make it thrive. There are some people that once they don't see your car, they are not serious. Once they see you coming, they start pretending as if they are doing something. They all of a sudden say, hey, it's that brother. He's the one who is serious. You don't gauge somebody's service in your presence. You gauge their service in your absence. You gauge it in your absence. When you are not around, then there is performance assessment. On the basis of the performance assessment, you can evaluate those who performed behind your back. Those are the people who are loyal. Anybody who does something before your face is just doing it to satisfy you or to please you. Somebody's not saying amen there. Number 2, for want of time. Healthy leader, healthy church. The next culture, the next leadership is leadership by excellence or culture of excellence. And it starts with the pastor. Daniel chapter 6 verse 3. Daniel chapter 6 verse 3. Then this Daniel, which Daniel? Which one? Look at your neighbor, say this one here. No, I can't hear. Look at your neighbor, say neighbor, this Daniel. He says, then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes. Why? Because an excellent spirit was in him. He was a slave. He can't speak their language. He's not educated by their conventional education. He's a foreigner. He's not a citizen. He's not an indigent. Yet he was preferred above the princes of the land. He was preferred above the nobles of the land. Why? An excellent spirit, sir. You can be too good to be ignored. Too good to be ignored. Too good. In your trade, in what you do, you are just too good. And all of a sudden, people forget that, hey, you are not even a Nigerian after all. Nobody remembers. Nobody remembers that you are not a Yoruba man, and yet you are doing ministry in Yoruba land. Nobody remembers you are not a Hausa man, yet you are doing ministry in Hausa land. So language and sentiments are overlooked because of performance and excellence. Sir, you must lead with excellence. What is excellence? Insisting on the best until you become the best. That's excellence. Insisting. Insisting. And for some of you who are pastors, you know that very well. That once you have the consciousness of excellence, you will offend workers and church members that have mediocrity. They will think you are too difficult to please. They will think you are too hard to satisfy. But let that be a culture. Let it be a culture. And it starts from you. I've seen ministries, sir, many times when the pastor steps on the altar, clearly you know that he was not ready. You just know, no content, nothing. One of the things I always ask myself, if we flip and I sit in the congregation and the same sermon I preached, if it was preached to me, how will I feel? Will I be blessed? Will I be happy? Will I feel it is 45 minutes that was worth it? If I don't feel so, then it means I have every reason to improve. Excellence means giving your best until you become the best. Insist on improvement. Insist. Evaluate your performance. Don't listen to the accreditation from the mouth of eye servants, but be very critical in your own personal assessment. Subject yourself to assessment and don't argue the assessor. Am I talking here? Don't argue. Don't argue. Check yourself. Give the very best and insist on the best. And that's the way to lead. So every time it's sermon time and the pastor steps on the altar, the whole church is aware that we are going to have the best of times in service. In your newcomers form, one of the things Particularly in our own ministry, one of the things we write, what do you enjoy about the service? Apart from all the various informations that are captured, one of the things we write, what do you enjoy about the service? You will find 80% of first-timers will tell you the preaching. Then you have some percentage who will tell you the music. Then a few percentage will tell you organization. So from going through the form, you can tell the areas that needs improvement or the areas that is already excellent. In organizations, they have suggestion box. When you fly airlines, you receive emails. How was our service? How was this? How was that? And they have 10 to 15 questions that they ask you. And the reason is not because they just want to talk. The reason they want to see where they can improve. Listen to me, sir. Life is highly competitive. If you don't excel, you will be excused. Life is too competitive. This thing we call ministry. If somebody leaves your church, they will go somewhere else. And they are not working out on you because they hate you. See, life has no sentiment. Life is too brutally honest. There's no sentiment. You are a teacher. Are you the best teacher? You are a preacher. Are you the best preacher? You are a leader. Are you the best leader? You are a prophet. Are you the best prophet? Whatever kind of ministry you do, sir, if you don't do it with a cutting edge, expect people to prefer others above you. No sentiment. No sentiment. Some people say, now juju. Not be juju, now excellence. What is the next culture every leader must create in a church? Is the culture of silence. I say it again, the culture of silence. There is no religion on earth where people tear down their leaders like church. Muslims don't tear their leaders down. Hindus don't tear down their leaders, only Christians. People have been trained to talk about leadership without fear of consequences. And I'll tell you one of the reasons. One of the reasons, now hear this and hear this very well. Anytime a pastor has a bad name and the name has publicity, that publicity is fueled by another pastor. Look very well. Behind major negative press a minister has, it is fueled by another pastor. So when the church members of such a pastor sees that our pastor is speaking negatively about other pastors, they have learned the culture of speaking negatively about leadership. You want to clap? Go ahead and clap. God bless you. So it becomes a culture. All of a sudden, there is no fear, no regard for constituted authority. Anybody can now talk to anybody or talk about anybody anyhow. I was talking with Reverend Philip and Papa yesterday in the office, and I said, the reason why the Italian family can never finish is because of the code of silence. Code of silence. That's the reason. A family commits a crime. Maybe a hitman or somebody does something, and there are witnesses around. The first thing the Don will say, find all the people that saw something. And they walk up to them and say, what did you see? We didn't see anything. For some, money will exchange hands. For some, it's like a threat. Now, I'm not saying this is what we should do, but I'm teaching you a culture that has preserved those families for generations. Al Capone is considered the greatest Don in current history. The American government didn't have anything on him. They couldn't find. Even when he was buying cars, he didn't buy any car in his name. He didn't, when he goes to a restaurant to eat food, he doesn't pay the bills. Somebody pays for him. So there was no direct link between him and the economy of the nation. How do you bring down a man that does not have a bank account? How? Our problem here, we talk too much. The pastor is talking. Church members are talking. There are times when they bring amebo to you. You say, eh? You cannot be healthy if you are lousy. Oh, you didn't hear me what I'm saying to you. As a pastor, you are not a healthy pastor if you are a lousy pastor. Your ears should not be open to gossip. Don't let them feed you with nonsense. There are pastors who hear it. There are others who say it. They hear it and they say it. Look at your neighbor, say silence. I didn't hear you. Look at your neighbor, say silence. I can't hear you. Say it again. Say silence. It's not what you see that hurts you. It's what you say. Noah became a husbandman, planted a vineyard, and got drunk. Then 3 people saw it. Ham saw it. Shem saw it. Japheth saw it. But it was not what they saw that was the problem. It's what they said. Ham went and told his brethren. And when Noah woke up and they told him what Ham did, what he said, he didn't curse those who saw. He cursed the one who spake. One of the code for the top, and I stand to be quoted, is the ability to see so much and say so little. You see so much and say so little. When you start fraternizing with men at the top, the first thing they watch out for is this guy lousy. Can he be trusted? Because where there is no secrecy, there is no security. And where there is no privacy, there's no preservation. Not everything should be exposed. Nobody's hearing what I'm saying. Even success has secrets. Even God himself has secrets. God spoke and spoke and spoke and created a being out of himself and called that being the Word. Even though God was the Word, he still states the secret things belongs to me. The talker still has a secret. There are many things I want to say to you, but you can't bear them, so I hold it. Even the word has break, he still restrains. You are the only one that says your mind. Says, you see me so, me I dey talk my mind. Pastor, no talk your mind though. The last time Samson spoke his mind, they removed his eyes. They cut his hair. They bound his hands. And they brought him down. Don't talk your mind. Create that culture where the people are taught to manage information. It's called information management. Create the culture. There are churches I know around Abuja and around the country. You won't hear anything pim about their pastor, about their church. You won't hear nothing. Not a word. Not a word. But in your own, everything that is happening in your church, everybody outside, people have never been there, they know. It's the lack of money. Listen to me. Information is a gateway. It causes people to access rightly or wrongly. Be in charge of the narrative of your ministry. Be conscious about it. Be in charge. Decide what should be heard and what should not be heard. Decide it. Once you find you have a leader that is a talkative, either you cut the person off or you limit the access of information that they have. There can be no betrayal if they don't know too much. And you see this work. There are too many backstabbers. Who am I talking to here? Too many. A lot of you are pained and where you are because of the level of betrayals you have endured. Some people just know what they shouldn't know. So they are saying what they shouldn't say. So in the end, what is supposed to be private has become a dance in the marketplace. Manage it. Manage it. Manage it. Somebody was in the 50th birthday of Dr. Yakilome many years ago. So he gathered a few pastors in Lagos and around the world. They came to the house. When they came, they opened wine and shared glasses for everybody. And they just poured the glass, and they wanted to make a toast to him. And they served. They brought his own wine and his own glass in his house. As they poured it, cheers, cheers, cheers. All of them clicked. All the pastors went like this. He went like this. No, you didn't hear me what I'm saying. Everybody drank their own. He didn't drink his own. In his house, his glass, his wine. Trust nobody. Have you ever heard anything from his mouth about anybody? Even when he had crisis in his home. Was there any interview? Was there any sound? Did the church crash? Talk to me. Manage your information. Rise to your feet. I don't like the way you are clapping. My time is up, but my sermon is not up. Lift up your hands. Say, Father, I receive a healthy culture to produce a healthy ministry. Lift your hands and talk to God for 1 minute. Bless the Lord. Bless the Lord. Bless the Lord.